The problem is, in my mind, the best iPhone is the 17, the base one, the cheapest one. Same price, $799 UK pounds, US dollars, but it gets 120 Hz ProMotion, it gets 256 gigs of storage as standard, the A19 chip, which in my test is faster than last year's A18 Pro in the flagship Pro series. So then why on earth would you spend a whole lot more to get a Pro or a Pro Max? Well, let's find out. Well, one is the fact that you do have a 6.9-inch screen option with the Pro Max. There's no Plus model this year. Also, we have the telephoto lens, and actually the main cameras themselves have bigger sensors. They're better cameras than the 17 and the Air. We also have the most powerful A19 Pro chip. They can, shoot log video, ProRes, ProRAW, so quite big upgrades in terms of the camera. Also, vapor chamber coolers. First time we've had those in an iPhone. Also, better speakers, and I'll show you a full test between all the iPhones in just a second. We of course have the LiDAR sensor, faster USB-C ports, but we do also get significantly better battery lives, both from the Pro and the Pro Max. Excuse me. Trying to film a anyway. Hope no one pushes the thing off. Now, of course, it's the iPhone Air, the new kid on the block, that's getting all the attention with its super slim design, and it is very nice. But the Pros have also had a bit of a glow up, well, depending on who you ask. I mean, whether you love or hate this new look, at least it's fun to see Apple try something a bit different after, well, 6 years of this. Titanium is out, aluminium's back in, camera bumps stretched across the full width here, with the flash and the LiDAR moved to the far side of what Apple call this plateau. I shall still be calling it the camera bump. But also you can see for the first time we have this dual tone design. This is a aluminium unibody frame, but in the middle here we have this ceramic shield, which is needed for the MagSafe wireless charging, better signal and so forth. They're also using a new, more scratch-resistant ceramic shield 2 on the front, and so far, not a single scratch, not even like a tiny micro scratch. And I've had like 2 phones in each pocket for the past week or 2. My screen's holding up pretty well, but I'm a little bit less convinced about how this paint is going to hold up and whether it's going to get chipped, particularly the edge of this plateau. I've actually been with a couple of other tech journalists who have dropped their phones, and while there hasn't been any screen shattered, the orange or the blue has started to chip away. And if you haven't yet seen Jerry Rig Everything's durability video on the new iPhones, definitely give that a watch. Are we all going to end up with chipped and scratched and dinged up looking iPhone 17 Pros within a few months? Well, we'll see. I like the look, I do. And as I say, if nothing else, I'm just happy to see something a bit different, something that stands out, and oh boy, does that cosmic orange stand out. Don't get me wrong, it's a gorgeous shade of orange and it glistens in the sun, but it's also a very shouty, look at me, I have the new one kind of vibe. For me though, I reckon the deep blue looks the best. Or you've got the more neutral silver, which actually kind of reminds me of the original iPhone. And you know what I didn't realize going into this is how different the speakers sound between all the new iPhones.
Look good, 85 front, 75 rear, you are good to push. Our temps look good, 85 front, 75 rear, you are good to push. Front, 75 rear, you are good to push. Copy. 5 rear, you are good to push. Copy.
So in order of sound quality, it goes Air, 17, Pro, Pro Max. It also surprised me this year, Apple has made the screens on all the phones, all the new iPhone 17s, they are exactly the same. You don't get a better screen going for the Pro Max, you just get a bigger one. Same 120Hz ProMotion screen, same 3000 nits of brightness, bumped up from 2000 last year. Although you'll only really notice that extra brightness when it goes into its super duper bright sun mode. And I do think it loses a bit of contrast. When it hits the brightest levels, it can look a little bit washed out. But hey, brighter the better. You can also see how they've improved the screen's reflectivity, or anti-reflectivity, with this new 7-layer anti-reflective coating that's built into the Ceramic Shield 2 for the screen. According to Apple, this cuts down the reflections by about 30%. I would say it's about halfway to the best-in-class S25 Ultra's screen. Although, I think for some people, the biggest upgrade here in terms of the screen will be this guy. Pulse Width Modulation, PWM, you can turn it off. I showed this off in my iPhone Air review as well, but if I change the shutter speed on my camera, you can see this strobing, this flickering of the screen. Now the iPhone's PWM rate has never been particularly fast, and so for some people who are really sensitive to it, it can cause headaches and eye strain, but this is a big deal for anyone who's affected by PWM. So if the screens are basically all the same on the new iPhone lineup, the question is, do you go big? The 17 Pro is 6.3 inches, the Pro Max is 6.9. It is a substantially bigger phone. Now, I've been a Pro Max user for the past few years. I've always wanted the bigger screen, the longer battery life, and in the olden days, well, the 15s and older, the telephoto camera would be different as well. But not anymore, the specs are identical between these phones. It's literally just the screen size and the battery life, and more on that in a second. Whichever iPhone you go for though, and as tough as they may be this year, accidents happen. You don't want to ding up your fancy new phone. So RHINOSHIELD sent me a whole bunch of their cases for the new 17 series lineup. They're all MagSafe, and you've got your traditional clear cases, colored ones, but this is literally a drop in the ocean. If you head on over to their website, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of original case designs, collaborations with big brands they've worked with, and you can even customize your own ones. For toughness, they have their shock spread eco material technology, promising over 3.5 meters of drop protection. So if I hold my hand up and then do a drop test, absolutely fine. And all their cases have passed the extensive and thorough lab tests, and their Solid X case absorbs up to 71% of the impact force through the reinforced corners and inner shock grooves. So they're tough, but that doesn't come at the expense of being really big or heavy. And they all have anti-yellowing. They actually do UV exposure tests in-house to ensure that the color stays the same, and they also run multiple durability tests, dropping it, tumbling it, scratching it, to guarantee every case is built to last. Plus top-notch warranty support. But RHINOSHIELD also prides itself on their circular ecosystem. Their products are made from mono material, meaning they only use one material, making the cases 100% recyclable and 100% circular. So check out my link in the description below and use my discount code TECHCHAP for a very tasty discount. And also right now, if you buy a RHINOSHIELD iPhone 17 case, you can get 40% off on screen protectors and a free lens protector. Not too shabby. So keep your shiny new iPhone 17 safe with a RHINOSHIELD case. But now I've been spoiled by the iPhone Air with its, what I like to call Goldilocks size 6.5-inch screen and this just ridiculously slim frame. It's what, 5.6 millimeters? This is such a nice phone to hold and to use, and actually it's even less slippery than the Pros. I'm just gently releasing them from my hand. The Air is so much more comfortable to use. The smaller Pros also had a big boost to its battery life, and they've doubled the base storage to 256 gigs, matching the Pro Max for the first time. So honestly, I'd recommend the Pro for most people. Save yourself, what, 150 quid-ish and get yourself just a more comfortable phone. Unless, of course, you do want that bigger, more immersive screen with the better speakers and the slightly longer battery life. So let's talk about battery. And you may have seen my video from the other day. I think there was like 1 million views in 24 hours. Absolutely nuts. But if you didn't see it, let me just fast forward to the end and give you the results. And predictably, the iPhone Air comes last, closely followed by the 17. But what was incredible is that the 17 Pro beat last year's 16 Pro Max. But when the 17 Pro did die, the Pro Max still had about 10% left. That's a massive upgrade. So if you are a super duper power user, the Pro Max may still be worth it. They do both support 40-watt wired charging and also 25-watt MagSafe wireless charging. Can we talk about performance just for a second? I know it's really boring and who cares about benchmarks and things, but we do have brand new chips and also big improvements to the cooling. Now you may have seen this in my Air review or the battery test video, but it shows how all 4 new iPhones, plus last year's 16 Pro Max on the left there, heat up while playing War Thunder. The Air heats up the fastest, but then after about 10 minutes is overtaken by the 17. But you can see on the right there, the new Pro and Pro Max with their vapor chamber coolers, pulling that heat down away from the chip, spreading it out, and dissipating it faster through their new aluminium chassis. Why does any of this matter? Well, 2 reasons really. One, better sustained performance, so if you're gaming, high frame rates for longer, but also just day to day, it doesn't get as hot as my 16 Pro Max did. Can I just show you a couple of benchmarks? I'll be really fast, I promise. This is Geekbench 6. Now technically the Air does have an A19 Pro chip as well, but it has 1 fewer graphics core versus the full-fat chip in the 17 Pro and Pro Max. But switching to graphics, and the Pros are about 20% faster than the 17 in the Air, and closer to 40% faster than last year. The thing is though, if you're upgrading from an iPhone 15, 14, 13, then these are significantly faster, and you'll really appreciate that when it comes to gaming and also some of the higher end camera features that are unlocked, 4K 120, ProRes RAW video and things like that. But iPhones have been so fast for such a long time now though, that just in general use, you probably won't notice that much of a real world difference. The biggest difference you'll notice is if you go for the base iPhone 17. If you've always gone for the cheapest regular phone, then going from 60 Hz to 120 with ProMotion that will make everything feel faster. But I suppose it's less about just how crazy fast it is in terms of numbers and benchmarks, and more about how future-proof that makes it. Realistically, you could probably hang on to this for the next 8, 9, 10 years and you'll be fine. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you back here in 2035. Okay, I have been waffling on for a while now. Shall we have a look at some pretty pictures and videos? It's been tough, but I've got to test it thoroughly, and if I show you the selfie camera and actually open this blind up, you'll see I'm in I'm actually there's some palm trees outside. This is Apple's new Square selfie camera, and it's a really big deal. And also importantly, all the new iPhones get exactly the same selfie. They've bumped up the resolution from 12 to 18 megapixels, they've roughly doubled the sensor size, so image quality is noticeably better, more detail, more accurate lighting and skin tones. It's also a wider field of view, equivalent to 20mm versus 23 last year, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but it really does make a difference for how much you can fit in the frame. I did this in my iPhone Air review as well, where I tested video stabilization with a selfie camera, but that was on a grey day back at home. Now we're on a beach in Hawaii, which is a step up. Anyway, here we are, 4K 60, selfie camera, let's go. And if you look at maybe the trees behind me, woo, getting wet as well. The stabilization is so much better on the new phones, as is the wider field of view. You can get a lot more in the frame. It's a big step up for the selfie camera. Now, as usual, the pros have a triple camera system, but this year all the cameras are 48 megapixels. The main lens and the ultra-wide haven't changed in terms of hardware, but the 12 megapixel 5x telephoto is now a 48 megapixel 4x, with crucially a much bigger sensor. This is the upgrade we were all asking for. Now, in terms of the zoom versus last year, let me show you this. So 5x optical on the 16 Pro Max, 4x optical on the new 17 Pro series. We have a much bigger sensor on the new telephoto. It's also 48 megapixels rather than 12 megapixels. I can also zoom in to 40 times on the new one, but just to match it, to show you the difference in quality, that's close enough. Let me show you a couple more examples with this new telephoto camera, which thanks to its new high resolution means in the same way the main camera can crop in from 1x to 2x and give us a near enough lossless zoom, the 4x telephoto can do the same to 8x. And together with the bigger sensor, while it's not a dramatic upgrade, you can see more detail, more texture, there's less noise, and it's particularly noticeable in low light. But also remember that the main camera, this 48 megapixel lens, is better than the one you get on the 17 and the Air. It's actually a bigger sensor. Although I have to say, a lot of the time, it's really hard to tell them apart. I bet you'd struggle unless you really zoomed in. Which is great news if you go for the 17 or the Air, but you do start to see more of a difference in low light. There's a bit more detail, it looks a bit more natural. The LiDAR sensor can also help with faster focusing, particularly in low light. The biggest difference though is when you zoom into 4x and beyond. That's where the pros really blow the regular iPhone 17 out of the water. The thing is though, as good as this camera is, and it is very good, especially as a kind of all-rounder, I don't think it offers best-in-class photography. In my book, it's probably the Oppo Find XA Ultra that offers the best photography camera. There's no sign of a 1-inch sensor, and Apple's smart HDR5 processing continues to make everything look a little bit flat, really raising the shadows, which some people love, but it looks a little bit less professional. But for me, there's a couple of features that earn this camera a lot of points and actually makes it a lot more usable. And that's the photography styles, which I still think is a really underrated feature for making your iPhone photos look, well, less like iPhone photos. And we also have a new bright style this year. And these revamped photo styles are on all iPhone 16s and 17s. And similarly, no other phone works as well as the iPhone when it comes to turning a photo into a portrait, and vice versa. I mean, a lot of Android phones can do this, Samsung for instance, but in my experience it just doesn't work nearly as well. For me though, as someone who makes videos for a living, the best part of the iPhone's camera is the video. There is no better all-round camera for video on a phone. The quality of the microphones, and then being able to improve it further with audio mix. Being able to shoot incredibly stable 4K 120, and then just with a couple of presses you can slow that right down to half or a quarter or an eighth speed. Including the fact that I'm shooting this in Apple Log 2 ProRes at 4K 30 with the selfie camera, but actually horizontally, even though I'm holding it vertically in front of me because of the new square sensor. It's not heating up as much because of the more efficient chip and better cooling. I can see the screen more easily, even through my new fancy cosmic blue Meta Ray-Ban Gen 2s because of the brighter display, especially out in the sun. Also, make sure you download the Final Cut Camera app. This has just had a massive update for iPhone 17 Pro, allowing you to shoot in ProRes RAW. There's a new Gen Lock feature that helps you sync your iPhone to other cameras. And we also get Apple Log 2 now, which offers an even wider dynamic range when you shoot in this flat color, which you can then obviously add your grades and LUTs to afterwards. And if you plug in a USB-C external drive, then you can shoot 4K ProRes RAW OpenGate. If that means anything to you, then you'll be excited. If it doesn't, well, don't worry about it. But it's cool to see these actual Pro features on a phone that, well, has Pro in the name. Stop it. I mean, look at that view. Don't look at me in the corner there, not this ugly mug. Look at that view. Holy moly. So, as you can probably guess, this is being recorded with a new dual capture mode. I've also got my Metas on here. In fact, let me record this so you get both angles. Yeah, there you go. Now you can see what I'm seeing. So obviously downsides is that it doesn't save the file separately. You don't get a separate selfie video and rear video that you can use afterwards. Also can't resize my little guy in the corner here, but I can move him around. And also video is limited to 4K 30. You can't shoot 4K 60. And also, actually, let me test something. In my air review, the zoom quality wasn't the best. It didn't seem to actually switch to the zoom lens as I'm filming. So let's try that here. 2x, 4x, 8x. Interesting. So it looks like either they haven't fixed it or it just doesn't give you the optical zoom, because that's very shaky and not particularly good quality. It's almost like it's just a digital crop of the 1x. Which is a bit frustrating because it gives you the options here to jump between the lenses. Ultra wide, telephoto 4x, punch into 8x. I know, it's hard for me to see on the screen in the blinding morning sunshine here, but let me know what that looked like. Anyway, great to finally have this feature on an iPhone. Obviously we've had it on Android phones for a while now, but it does look good, especially with the new and improved selfie camera. And I think you're gonna see a lot more of this kind of thing coming up on your TikToks and your Instagrams. I reckon I use it a fair bit. I do. It's nice to have a little reaction and also to show you what I'm looking at, but it just would be nice to, have an option to split screen it, 50-50, resize my little guy in the corner there. And of course, save the files separately. Come on, Apple, that'd be so helpful. I'll tell you what hasn't changed across any of the iPhones, and that is the glare. These little guys, which can ruin your photo. Yes, we have lens flare, that's one thing, but these things are here forever, it seems. So that is the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. What do you make of them? Are you tempted to buy one? Have you already bought one? Let me know in the comments below, and also drop a comment if you've got any questions. I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time right here, but probably not right here on the Tech Chat. I've got wet.